What's the most messed up thing you've done only because you were turned on? Viewer edition.
Oh boy, if there's one thing I want to hear about, it's not just messed up stuff that you've all done, but messed up stuff you've done because your genitals were engorged. Why did I say that? Oh, that's terrible. Oh, I've started this video off on a terrible note. We need to stop. I should re-record this. Anyway, moving on. Story 1. So this is the story of how I lost my virginity. I was 15 and didn't have a learner's permit yet. I met a gal through MySpace, and our conversations got dirty pretty quick. Within a week, she talked me into attempting to come over to her place. The only issue was she lived 4 hours away on the highway. So what did I do? I tried to ride my mountain bike to see her. I started out in the morning with a pocket full of MapQuest printouts and a single bottle of water. Rode all day, not able to ride on the interstate. I was riding over winding mountain roads, and some were unpaved. It got pretty late, and I decided to throw in the towel around 10 p.m. I'd only made it a quarter of the way. I called my mom over a payphone, and she was frantic over where I was. Nonetheless, she came and got me. Of course, I got one of those paternal lectures the whole way home, so the next night came. About 9:30, I decided I'm going to take my mom's car to go see the girl. Just to get you oriented with the layout, my mom's room is on the 2nd floor, and so is mine, and the garage is directly under my mom's room. I sneak downstairs and into the garage. I unhook the latch and disconnect the garage door opener from the door and start manually lifting the door open. As soon as the first panel makes the curve on the track, the folding action of the hinge makes a loud clunk. I hear it, and I know my mom heard it. In a panic, I strip all my clothes down to just my jeans, no shirt, no shoes, no socks, and hurry to the refrigerator in the kitchen. Of course, my mom comes down while I'm standing there, staring in the open fridge. "What are you doing?" my mom asks with a bit of concern. "Oh, I just woke up hungry," I say as I lay on the BS. I crap you not. My mom makes me a damn sandwich right before I steal her car. OMG, I'm going to hell. All said and done, my mom goes to bed, and I go back into the garage and get dressed. Opening the door the rest of the way was a breeze. Now the hard part. Mom's got a 2002 Mustang. I can't start it anywhere near the house, so I gotta push it out the driveway and down the street. Thank God it wasn't a heavy car. Also, my only driving experience was dirt bikes and quads. I learned it didn't translate well into driving cars. For the life of me, I could not find third gear to the point I was letting go of the stick so it would center itself and I just shove it straight forward. After figuring everything out, I was off. Made the 4 hours away, met the gal, better looking on MySpace, OG catfished, and got laid in her parents' garage. Made home at 6 in the damn morning, only to get busted in the driveway anyway. Ah, the things that a young teenager will do in order to do the deed. I will say, folks, don't go to any wild, crazy extremes for that kind of stuff. I'm gonna say that here just because I don't want to encourage things. Certainly don't steal your mom's car, as funny as that is. And don't ride a mountain bike on what should be a 4-hour drive through mountain passes. Oh my gosh. If you had made it, what was your plan? To just flop on the ground and be like, "I'm ready." But hey, you did it. Story 2. I read somewhere that one of the Harry Potter toy brooms would vibrate and became very popular with boys and girls alike, and the girls would borrow their brother's broom. Obviously, the broom was withdrawn from sale after they started turning up in adult toy shops.
Story 3. Well, might as well get it out here. When I was 17, almost 18, I went next door to my neighbor's house during a party they were having. They always have these parties there, and we were told it was a gay, trans, bisexual party. They held them at least once a month and had always had plenty of guests. It took me a while to earn up the actual courage to go there, as I still didn't know if I was gay or bi or whatever. I just knew I wanted to experience a real D instead of the toys I was using. Mostly homemade bottles, things like that. When I finally went, I remember I told everyone I was 18 and remember them giving me wine and talking to me as I was honestly super nervous about asking anyone there if they were even interested in having intercourse. I remember telling them I enjoyed wearing women's clothing and it made me feel some type of way. And eventually a few of them talked me into going to try dressing up in another room into some women's lingerie. It didn't fit, LOL. I was walking out of the bathroom saying how it didn't fit when I noticed like 3 guys already naked and one more taking his pants off. I was embarrassed and tried turning around saying sorry when one of them walked up behind me and grabbed my shoulder saying, "No, baby, this is for you if you want to try it." To which I remember him grabbing my head and pushing me down on my knees, and yeah, the rest is history, and to this day my parents still don't know that for years after, I kept going to these parties and my neighbors were totally cool not saying anything to anyone.
There's a lot going on here. I will say 17, almost 18. Don't do that, folks. Let's not replicate this. Be honest about your age. You don't want to get other people in trouble, and that's... But whatever. Moving on. It's happened. The fact that you were able to go someplace with like-minded people and experiment, stuff like that... and getting into your 18s, it sounded like you did it for years after and stuff. It seems like a safe environment where people were encouraging, and I was a little concerned about the head getting pushed down, but it sounded like, with how you went back and all that stuff, that it was something that you mean to sound that you were into. I certainly hope. I don't know if big parties like this are something I, fully recommend for folks, just because... STDs, stuff like that. You want to make sure people are tested and being safe. But at the very least, finding people who will allow you to experiment and discover things about yourself is important. So I'm glad you were at least able to find that.
Story 4. So yeah, I'm a woman, and on more than a few occasions, I've pleased my lady bits while driving rather fast. And before anyone asks, this has always been at night on a road through the middle of nowhere with no one around me. Not gonna risk hurting other people over an insane O. Story 5. I'm into some weird stuff. If you know me, you know. But to the untrained individual, a lot of it doesn't immediately register as adult entertainment unless you're online enough. When I was in elementary school, I would read stories about it in my free time, and one time got bold enough to print it out. Pro tip, while browsing history is usually too big to sift through, print jobs are not. I was caught, obviously, and scolded, but I couldn't have my computer privileges taken away because I needed them for class. I think I managed to hide the printout well enough to keep them until I was caught with them later down the line. Because I never learned my lesson, I did it again at the next school I went to. Had my mom come up to me with no context and go, "Hey, Azriel, what's insert name of fetish site here?" And I just had to go, "Nothing, don't worry about it. How did you get that name?" I got the message about keeping things discreet after that. Story 6. This is my deepest shame, like something that will continue to haunt my thoughts for years, and something I'm thoroughly disgusted with myself for even considering. I considered assaulting a friend. So one day this friend and I were hanging out and joking around. I had a huge crush on her and she jokingly punched me, but I didn't feel a damn thing despite her looking like she put a fair amount of effort into it. I teased her about it and told her to hit me as hard as possible, so she wound up punching me as hard as she could in my chest. And I shrugged it off like it was nothing. I'd taken some okay hits in the past, and she'd never once been in a fight, so it made some sense. But not only did she fail to inflict any significant pain onto me, she hurt herself, like holding her wrist and shaking her hand while saying "ow" 100 times. So I didn't think much of it other than that it made her even cuter. She couldn't even hurt me, but that night as I prepared to treat myself, the thought crossed my mind that I could easily overpower her, so why not just have my way? Soon as I finished the thought, I put my junk away and punched myself. I went and had a shower right after, really confused my dad, but I just told him I felt really gross and desperately needed to have a shower. I use showers not just to clean my body, but also to cleanse my mind and soul. As I stood in that shower, I smacked my head against the wall and whispered under my breath, "What the F is the matter with you? How could you even think that? Seriously? Do you have no respect for her? Do you have no shame?" Just asking the same questions centered around the thought of, I'm a monster for even considering it. Eventually, I get out of the shower, and for a few days, I avoid her. She asks what's up, and I don't really give a clear answer, just tell her I needed to focus on my schoolwork for a bit. Couldn't spend time with friends because they distract me, and she seemed okay with that answer. I really hope she doesn't see this comment at any point in time. It's my deepest shame, and I genuinely wish it had never even crossed my mind. This was a couple years ago. Such possibilities haven't crossed my mind since, and I'm proud of that, but it still disgusts me that a part of me even thought of it.
Okay, we're going to come at this from a place where I don't want to level a bunch of judgment against this person. You had an invasive, clearly very bad thought. I will let you know, I think everyone has thoughts, not necessarily like this, but thoughts of doing something terrible every once in a while, but it is how you react to that and not acting upon those thoughts that make a truly good person. And you know, you feel bad about that stuff, but it sounds like that is something that you wouldn't ever actually act upon. And if you found yourself, you know, having more violent urges, stuff like that, that you are, you know, feel regret that you'd even have any of these thoughts or urges, folks, I would recommend talking to a therapist, an unbiased third party that you can be completely open with. I am not the person to give a full discussion about this stuff. It is a complex issue, and I certainly don't take the idea of assault against anyone lightly, and I don't want to dismiss it, but just having one bad invasive thought does not make you a terrible person. It sounds like it is something you wish to avoid with all your heart. I think that's great. But if it is concerning to you, I think talking to an unbiased third party like a therapist might be really helpful for you and for anyone else who might be struggling with those kind of things.
Story 7. My wife and I were traveling around abroad. Back then, she was my girlfriend. This was approximately 8 or 9 years ago. We had a layover in Zurich. It was late at night, and we were walking past the cathedral. Yes, I had intercourse in the cathedral in Zurich. I don't remember the cathedral's name, but it was one that was famous, one near the water. I bring it up every now and then, LOL. Story 8. I was dating this girl who was a dominatrix and a switch. I am predominantly dominant, but also a switch, so we tried to dominate each other. Well, one night I submitted and she knew I got off on pain. So she ties me to the bed and is trying to hurt me to see ecstasy and pain on my face. She's using candles to burn wax on me, punching me, clawing at me, and not a thing of it is working on me. I canceled the rest of the night because she failed at hurting me, so I lost excitement, if you get what I'm saying. That was one of the last times we got to play before I broke it off with her. Story 9. I'm a woman and I don't know how to self-pleasure. Can't find my C, so instead I lay on my stomach, usually on top of a pillow, and rub up against it. I think that's called humping?
I am not the person to answer this question for you. Well, I don't know your age. You might not be younger. You might be older. There are people in all age ranges who, depending on how they were grown up, how, strict conservative parents might have been, maybe you just haven't found out. Folks, talk to someone you trust, or if you're willing to, if you're old enough, if you're an adult, do some searching on the internet. It will have a lot of answers for you, but there are some genuinely good resources out there. And if you're not an adult, talk to someone that you can trust.
Story 10. I stuck an ice lolly up there once. Could only keep it up there a max of 10 seconds before it got too cold. Was one of those cylindrical rainbow fruity ones. And yes, I did.
The colors, Duke! The colors! I'm colorblind, kid. Anyone my age or older should absolutely get that reference, and if you don't, I'm sorry, you should look it up. Just look up The Colors, Duke, The Colors. It's a dumb old commercial about, I think, these same popsicles. I don't know.
Story 11. I was in my early 20s. Went to this bar, met this lady in her late 40s. She had these big-eyed, googly eyes. Just to find out later, she was into candy. At a certain distance, she looked like a MILF. Well-dressed, green eyes, tanned, and healthy-looking. The kind you would see in a nice store buying stuff for relatives. We talked for a while, drink a beer here and there. Late at night, we're outside talking to the local plugs to get some candy. We go to the motel, she gets so high she's too talkative and stays talkative during intercourse. I get high and decide to stick it in her butt. As soon as I pull, a jet of poop drops. She goes to take a shower and me too. My card for some reason was not working in the motel. LOL. She's okay to F the manager, so we don't have to pay it. All in all, she gives me her number so we can do that crazy crap another time. One time was good enough for me. Story 12. Story 2, preferably just use actual intercourse toys, but please, if you're going to stick random things inside yourself, A, make sure they're very clean, sterile even if possible, and B, make sure it has a flared base so it won't go all the way inside you to the point you can't get it back out. I cringed the second I heard ping pong balls. Story 13. Never try self-pleasuring in a car. I was muscular at the time and couldn't help after my girlfriend decided it was a good time to go topless and bottomless at the same time. Cramping up behind the wheel of a car is never fun, especially going 50 miles per hour. Anyways, heart attack avoided. I had my revenge on the side of the road that day, and she'll never forget. Story 14. When I found out about self-pleasure, I didn't know what exactly to do or when to stop. I found out how, eventually, and one time my cousin was home and I was choking the chicken. Cousin comes in, I tried to hide it, didn't get away with it, and I tried to play it off. We never have spoken about it again.
I mean, I feel like for a lot of, budding young people that you discover self-touchies, and then it's like, wow, this is great. Why don't I do this all the time? And a lot of them do until something happens that makes you go, I should not do this as much.
Story 15. Was 17 dating my first girlfriend. For context, this was in 1990. Her parents were taking her and her younger twin brothers on a trip to an amusement park. They asked if I wanted to go and I did. We drove there, about a 2-hour drive, have fun all day and night. Her dad is driving us all home around midnight. They have a Ford LTD station wagon. Her dad and mom are sitting up front, me and my girlfriend in the back seat. Her younger brothers are in the jumper seats way in back. Next thing I know, my girlfriend has her hand down my pants. She starts jerking me off, then gives me a slow BJ. Both of us are trying to be super quiet so her parents won't realize what's going on. I'm getting crazy scared, which is only making it more intense. I'm dying for her to stop because I know I'm getting close. The first shot went over the seat, right in between her parents. My girlfriend blocked the rest with her hand. Then she immediately starts hysterically laughing. I thought for sure her mom would turn around and figure out what was going on. Nope, they just shushed us and told us to be quiet so that we didn't wake her brothers up. Got away with it. We stopped dating about 7 months later, but we are still friends to this day. We've relived and told that story hundreds of times. Told all our mutual friends, but never told her parents. Story 16. The craziest thing I ever did while turned on was doing it in the streets under a tree at night for 1 straight hour. Kinda rough too. No regrets, it's just too good. Story 17. I accidentally discovered wiener enlarging exercises while self-pleasuring oddly one day. I was watching a video on my laptop, which was sitting on the coffee table. I was on my knees, D in hand, and instead of moving my hand back and forth, I would tightly grip and pull my hips backwards, then reset and repeat. I wasn't looking at nor paying attention to myself, so I was shocked when I looked down a few minutes later and found that my wiener was swollen. I went to the bathroom and compared my head to the cap of a toothpaste tube, the really large cap that flips open, not a tiny screw-off one. And sure enough, I was about as big as it. I did a little research later that night, educated myself on other wiener enlarging exercises, and about 6 months later had doubled or more my girth.
Oh, there's gonna be someone who watches this video and they hear that and they're gonna try some stuff. Folks, that kind of stuff can be kind of dangerous, I've heard. You can overstress things, hurt some muscles, stuff like that. I wouldn't recommend getting too far into that kind of stuff without, talking with a doctor or something. Please nobody pop their wiener.
Story 18. I shoved a shell of a pen up there before I had even discovered self-pleasure. Only time I put something that definitely shouldn't go up there. Story 19. I used to attend kinky eyes wide shut style orgy parties. At one of them, I wasn't feeling the group stuff, so I found a like-minded single lady and took her to an empty room for funsies. Her mask falls off during. It was my sister. I took off my mask. The abridged version of what we said was, whoopsie, but up until that moment, it had been really effing good, and we figured we'd come this far, might as well finish, so we put her mask back on and kept going. We never repeated it. It looks like we have a share.
No! 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 God! No! No! God, no! I know that some of these stories have to be made up, and I swear to God this needs to be made up. Person who wrote this, please just tell me you made it up. I can't. No!
Story 20. Me and my boyfriend were cuddling and I decided F it and rolled over and pinned him. He wasn't actually pinned. With my hands beside his head and my legs across his waist. Didn't do anything because I surprised myself with how smooth I was. LOL. And just cuddled. Story 21. Oh no, the guy who shoved cologne up his butt. I once used ethyl alcohol to wash my balls and D from blood from shaving. Never put alcohol in your balls. Never ever. It's pure pain. It's not even funny, naughty pain. It's just miserable. I can't imagine having that happen to my lower intestines. If you don't get it and think that I'm a bee, try putting alcohol on your balls right now. Story 22. Story 5. I think the messed up thing that he probably left out was that it was a bi foursome. I'm not calling being bi messed up, but to someone who thinks themselves straight, their orientation mentality is challenged when you're willing to do gay stuff with your best friend to bang 2 other hot chicks. Story 23. My contribution? Effed a toilet paper roll. Multiple times. I refuse to elaborate further, and you can't make me.
How did you? I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around what you do, because, like, I know it has the natural tube, but you don't want to, like, be trying to stuff your thing into, like, a hard cardboard tube. It friggin' hurt, you know? Like, I guess you could take it out and, like, loosen up the stuffing so you could fit it. I don't... Like, it's from your comments. I want to ask the person to elaborate, but also, I maybe don't. I mean, you refuse to elaborate further, so I guess I can't make you. But do it! Do it now! Come on! What are you talking about?
Story 24. Left my butt off. What we do for women. When I was 17, I took the train to go see my newly met long-distance girlfriend that was 2 hours away from me. I said to my parents I was going to meet some friends, but they busted me because the train was taking way too long to return than I expected. Story 25. I loved that safety PSA. There's plenty of stuff designed for your booty hole, people. Please proceed with caution and care. Never use anything that doesn't have a flared base. Flared base, people! Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.